paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, that's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery. I'm your host, Cass Lynn, joined by my co-hosts, DJ Douglas Johnson, Jason E. Alt, and Corbin, tragically dead, Hostler.
Is it tragic, or was it like the natural result of his lifestyle?
We were supposed to say it's tragic because we're trying to be polite, Jason.
But
He is
I don't
suck
want
incarnation.
speculation online. Let's just tear the Band-Aid off now. Yes, it was type 3 diabetes.
Well, it's so fucked up they had to invent a new type.
Yeah.
I assume that's worse than just having 1 and 2 at the same time, right?
Yeah.
What's
It's
so
like
bad about
both.
type 3?
It's both.
If diabetes is so good, how come there's no type 3?
Yep. Well, they broke the format with 2.
It's true, they really broke the mold on that one.
2's pretty much perfection. It's like, aha, I got a normal pancreas. And then you're like, well,
That's what you thought.
you definitely shouldn't have Kool-Aid with your breakfast.
I'm being attacked there. I have the worst sweet tooth out of everybody. I have no vices except for sugar.
And rock
Glad I'm
climbing.
being your wife.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a vice.
That's not a vice, unless you put her in a vice.
We are all coming back from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction pre-release and/or release weekend.
Hence
whatever,
the hats.
whatever they call it. Yeah. Thank you, JJ, for designing us some incredible cowboy hats.
Oh, he better. I didn't do anything with my hair. I look like shit.
I want like a Dolly Parton rhinestone cowboy hat. Please and
I
thank you.
told him to put minimal effort in, so we will see what the outcome is. But Corbin forgot his at home, so we took him out back and used one of those halo lasers from the Thunder Junction and just put the old yeller down. So we are here with just the 3 of us to talk about Thunder Junction.
Because Corbin died.
Corbin is dead.
He's super dead.
I am back from SCG Con Atlanta. That was also very dead. There were very, very few people in that room throughout the entire weekend. One of the slower events of the year so far. It was a pre-release weekend, which those were happening, and of course, none of the vendors buy new cards, understandably. There are plenty of reprints in the set. I'm sure that even if you follow Magic very, very closely, you can't name all the reprints in this, whatever they call the poster versions. Not poster, but like wanted posters,
The
something like
breaking news.
that. The breaking news.
So it was supposed to be
Well, the big score was
small
supposed to be
set.
Aftermath.
Oh, is
Jason,
that what
yeah.
was? Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's so hard to keep track of all that.
And that's why there's 2 Planeswalkers in the set, is Jace was absolutely supposed to be in big score, and they had to fold it into the set, and they couldn't have it be on the bonus sheet, because if the card is... The bonus sheet cards are like a little bit more rare than Mythics, I'm pretty sure, and they didn't want that. That's my speculation.
You don't
'cause
want
they
a
said they were gonna do
$100
one-
Jace in case it's good, yeah.
Yeah, in case it's good. Because like they said they were going to do one Planeswalker per set, but this is 2 sets in 1, so...
I have heard rumors of Jace being okay. I have also seen people say it's unplayable. I don't really play Magic, so I can't.
Well, people
Here's
said
the thing
Cunning
about Jace.
Castaway is unplayable, and that's clearly not.
Here's the thing about Jace Reawakened, the 2-mana Jace. You just play that card on turn 4 like you're supposed to. You don't gotta do this Layla of Anticipation shit. You don't have to cheat it into play. You just play it on turn 4 with 2 mana up to protect it, and you +1 it to plot a 3-drop. On your next turn, you cast your Teferi for free. You had 2 mana up, and now you have 4 mana up. 5 even if you want it. You plus Jace again to play another Black Lotus, and you plot like a Narset or a Days Undoing if you're playing Control. If we're playing mid-range, we just like plot an Expressive Iteration, or like I did in Cube, I plotted a Ramulet Excavator and then a Knight of the Reliquary. Jace just makes a Black Lotus every turn. Also, he has a good -6. Also, his other +1 is a loot effect. Also, he's a blue card. You can't pitch Forcible to Aether Vial, You can't pitch Sarah Avenger to 8th to Force of Will. You know what I'm trying to say. All the words I'm saying out of order. Jace is a blue card.
They were afraid to do a 2-mana Planeswalker, and this is why.
Yeah, this card's good, I think. I don't know. That's my hot take.
Tybalt, where everyone's like, Tybalt is clearly dog unplayable trash. Now let's try to break it, because it may be, but it's a 2-mana Planeswalker. This has to be broken. It has to be.
It's also very funny. It's not lost on me that this Jace is also very good with the flip Tybalt, because you can plot it and then cast the 7-mana side.
I have seen people.
His name is Flibbolt.
Flibbolt.
That Planeswalker you get on the backside's nasty.
It's worth 7 mana.
I have that deck.
Jace came out at around $30. He is currently crashing as all Planeswalkers used to. I mean, we've had like a weird thing where the Planeswalker tax from 2012 to 2015 just kind of like has disappeared, along with just the weirdness and craziness of pre-releases and how cards are pre-ordered. And
well, it used to be more than one
cards.
Card per set had to be worth money, and that's not true anymore.
Right, a lot of the set can be held up through like the doubling seasons and heuristic studies of the set that are just not on the actual sheet. There is a lot of weirdness and non-standardized stuff with how pre-ordering goes, because every set is different now. If Jace is good, when do you want to buy it?
Generally, so there's kind of 2 phases of release now. You have the phase of release where LGSs get to sell their product, and they get to list their things for pre-order, they get their product in, they get to crack it, they get to sort it, they get to make sure they actually have their allocations correct for their pre-sales. And then you have the day 1 week after release where every chucklehead on TCGPlayer, every person who has an account, who had the wherewithal to get to like level 2 seller ranking, and has 11 Magic cards to their name, can post their cards for a lower price as they all race to the bottom to be the person who gets to sell their 1 copy. And I want to be in like a couple of days after that, after you've let the chuckleheads kind of like push the card prices down to get their sales through. Because once those people's cards dry up, the vendors who actually like, you know, have intention of holding inventory, who have intention of being able to like provide multiple cards for one customer, their copies will be a little bit more expensive, and so the price will naturally creep back up as demand sort of catches up with supply.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that when we had Jimmy on a few weeks ago, in terms of when he decides to sort of toe the line on when to buy into a set, or when to figure out what he wants to sell it for, or whether or not something's good or not. So Jace is apparently the new hotness. We have 2 versions. I mean, allegedly, you can.
I didn't say the new hotness. I did imply that all other Planeswalkers were old and busted, though, so.
You can't do worse than saying Smuggler's Copter is bad on this podcast.
Who did that?
Me, kinda.
I
believe it was Shaheen.
Yeah.
Shaheen has a long history of getting preview season wrong. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't speak to his prowess in any way. I gotta make that clear.
The third
he did
time
also
he
say
came on the
preordain was
cast,
bad.
The third time he came on the cast, I just did the opposite of what he said.
That is actually Patrick Sullivan's sports betting strategy, is bet the opposite of the people you think are stupid.
But
I mean,
we have
tends to work.
So we have 2 versions of Oko. We have the original busted Oko, who made his way onto the breaking news sheet, and God only knows why. I've heard plenty of people complaining about that card being in the limited format once again. And then we have Oko, the Yeehaw version, the Yeehaw version. With,
the ringleader.
The ringleader.
The rootness, tootness, weird laser sword that functions as a gun, somehow shootinest Planeswalker.
So the problem is this Oko isn't even a cowboy Oko. He's just like... He's like an Ocean's 11 Oko wearing a cowboy hat.
He's a male stripper Oko, right?
No.
I mean, he's...
No?
He's a George Clooney just wearing a cowboy hat. He's there to get the gang together so they can go to the big heist. Steven Soderbergh invented the character Oko so he could write his new Ocean's 15 movie.
That's true. I don't think he wrote Ocean's 11. I think he did it for a paycheck. He's like, I want to make a really weird fucking movie. It's kind of like Gummo, but not as good. And they're like, no, we're not going to give you money. He's like, I'll direct a piece of shit. And they're like, fine.
Soderbergh's Ocean's 11 is a fine movie. And if you talk about it again on this podcast, I'll go to your house and beat you up, Jason. And not in a fun sexual way.
Oh, no.
Oko Ringleader. That card, I think, is going to be a card that kind of people sleep on. It also feels pretty powerful. Both Planeswalkers in this set have really interesting, we'll call them static abilities that sort of restrict or benefit them. This Oko being able to come into play, give you a little bit of card selection, or make an elk and then just like copy your big creature and attack, like that's a very proactive Planeswalker. Like making a threat and then also attacking is pretty huge.
Okay.
I'm in.
Oko is currently $7. Not a lot of other people believe in him, but in standard season is also over, so we'll see if people continue to actually buy these cards and use them in standard. Because right now the new hotness is Pioneer. Prices have heavily been favoring whatever the RCQ format is. I mean, if you have played in a standard event, and if you have had to buy cards for the standard season, if you bought Wedding Announcements, if you bought Bloodthirsty Adversaries, don't check their price right now. Just whatever, they're doing fine. Trust me, they're doing fine, but don't check them. Just keep holding them and don't worry about the price of your standard cards. They're doing absolutely fine. I promise you. They're just going to a farm upstate.
If you qualified for the RC, you have one final chance to sell your standard cards, which is at the standard RC. I do think a lot of cards in standard right now need a rotation before they're playable, because most of these cards were designed without Kamigawa and Capenna in mind.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I was going through batches recently for whatever older standard sets, and I was just like, Midnight Hunt came out like during quarantine.
Yep.
And that set is still legal in standard. And Fable, I was buying a Meat Hook Massacre at an event recently, and I put that on the $20 pile, and I thought, this would have been legal in standard if it was not banned. Like, Meat Hook Massacre used to be the $80 standard boogeyman 3 years ago.
I won a Kamigawa Neon Dynasty collector pack as like a little prize at a side event recently, and I opened it and I was like, oh sweet, some standard rares. I got Invoke Despair and Reckoner Bankbuster, both banned in standard.
Nice.
Same pack.
Doesn't Meat Hook Massacre sound like an ironic name for a shoegaze band?
It's pronounced Shugazi.
I don't even know what that word is, and I'm glad I didn't try to pronounce it.
Shoegaze is like music. Like, imagine the kind of person who looks down at their shoes and is like kind of sad and somber and like ponderish.
Imagine if somebody saw Rivers Cuomo after he made Beverly Hills and said, I want to make that guy's face my aesthetic, but I don't want people to see my face.
I was gonna see, the first thing I thought of was like the goth kids from South Park doing their little shuffle dance. Is that the correct vibe?
No.
Closer to like a Midwest emo vibe than that, but somewhere in between the two.
Okay. I'm learning so much.
I like to pronounce shoegaze like Fugazi and call it Shugazi.
It's very funny.
I would believe you. I genuinely did not know what the hell you two were talking about.
I also like to pronounce Chipotle
Kids
like
these
Aristotle.
days. Chipotle? Yeah.
Chipotle. I fucking goddamn, dude. I want so many anniversaries.
I will agree with you on that Chipotle pronouncing. I try to pronounce it like a Pokemon, but I want to feel smart now, so I am going to jump my Breaking Bulk into the mix.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
I think this one is a little mind and a little bit unguessable.
Chipotle sounds like a better name for a place that makes cookies. Right?
Chocolate Chipotle.
Chocolate Chipotle, exactly.
Sure. Well, I have a Eventide. I wanted to make a joke there, but it would actually give away part of my Breaking Bulk too much, so I don't want to make the joke. I have a Eventide. Shut up. I have an Eventide rare that has been reprinted twice, somewhat recently.
The fraying sanity grinding.
No. What color?
This is multicolor.
From Eventide?
Giving away more than that, it does just completely narrow.
Is it the
Soulquake?
red-white one that gives you another combat phase?
It is not Waves of Aggression. Cass, what was your guess?
Soulquake?
Salt Quakes or
Soulquake. I think that card's actually
that's
from
a
Alara.
No,
now that I
Soul
think
Quake's
about it.
from Lara Reborn, yeah.
It has Eventide vibes, you gotta admit.
That's fair. I don't think Eventide has any actual gold cards. I think they're all hybrid though.
Is it the
Yeah, you're right.
the one where you make a 6/6 flyer or whatever? Awaken the Behemoth?
Call the Skybreaker? Is
Yeah.
that? No.
I don't know the name of Magic cards.
I'm surprised I got that one, but no. I'm very confident you're not going to guess this card. It is $1, by the way, for certain versions.
Okay.
Other versions are less than $1. The Eventide ones.
Wait,
are a
It's
bit
been
more, though.
printed.
Okay, I know this one. It's Fable of Wolf and Owl.
Nope.
Fuck.
That was gonna be more than that card's pretty expensive, I thought.
It got a couple reprints though recently. That's why I flagged it. Is it one of the Dominuses?
No.
Domini, I think.
Dominuses?
They're called Dominatrixes.
That's so true, bestie. Is it Merc?
Dominatrices.
No.
Full disclosure, I brought up the Eventide spoiler because I don't care as much about getting it fairly. I hate this set.
I
man.
really-
This whole
I
set's a memory
really-
hole.
I thought it was.
Is it Sapling of Kolfanor?
Nope.
Spinning Image?
Mm-mm.
Alright. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Pyrrhic Revival? Pyrrhic Revival?
I think it's Pyrrhic Revival.
Yeah,
Pyrrhic Revival?
It's from
No.
Pyrrhus. So you have a Pyrrhic victory.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Mercfiend Liege?
Nope.
Everstrike. I'm running out of cards here, DJ.
What if I told you
It's
that
not an
Deathbringer
Eventide
Liege
proper.
was $1?
Who, Liege?
Deathbringer Liege is $1.
Wow, that's
Oh,
the worst
yeah.
one.
The historically $15 casual all-star from the pre-cell phone trading days has been reprinted to nearly dust. Deathbringer Liege was reprinted in Commander 2021 in the Silver Quill deck alongside Ink Shield, which that's the only card that anybody cared about out of that deck. And then it was also kneecapped immediately in Double Masters 2022, where it also got an etched foil version. This is a card that a lot of people who have played Magic for a long time, I think, remember as being like $8 to $15, and it's probably a card that people who have been playing Magic for less than a few years don't remember as being expensive. Kind of like how I am not 30 years old yet, and I don't remember Spiritmonger being expensive.
So, here's my defense for not getting this one, and I don't have a lot of defenses for it.
The
I actually assumed
Spiritmonger
that all of the
content.
Lieges had been reprinted into the ground already.
That's fair.
I did too, yeah.
This one has... Was it not in Modern Masters 2 or whatever, like a bunch of them were?
Modern Masters 2 had...
Which one was
Red,
even played
white one?
competitively? Was it just green white?
It also had the green-black one, didn't it?
Green-Black was Creekwood. Yeah, that one was... Because there was a Saproling theme, I think, in MM2.
Right. In my head, the whole cycle was an MM2. That's crazy. That's so interesting.
Deathbringer Liege got up to 15, and it is... I mean, I'm
It's
sure
better now.
I'm sure you can still play it in Commander. You can make
Is
your
the
black
red white one worth anything?
Balefire. I don't think so.
I'm looking it up.
We are looking this up. While Cass looks this up on MTG Stocks, I will tell you more about MTG Stocks. You can click our link in the description. You can get the premium website. That is what we are using. You can track your analytics. You can upload your collection and watch the interest go up and down, so you have to track your collection value. You can even get text and email alerts to let you know when your Arcanum wings have finally spiked in price, which I don't think they will. Not right now. Not off just Ariette. I mean, Ariette came out and didn't spike my favorite little Aura Swap card, but I think you should hodl, you should diamond hands, you should do whatever the crypto bros are doing right now as crypto hits $69,420. You should continue to hold those Aura Swaps until they print like an Esper color, like 2 or 3 more Esper colored auras that cost more than 5 or 6. Because right now, when I made that pick, I didn't realize there's only like 3 auras you can swap in with Aura Swap that are actually worth it to do with Ariette. You can get like Eldrazi Conscription and a couple other expensive mind controls that are already doing the mind
You can
control.
play like Spectra Ward and like Celestial Mantle.
Yeah, Celestial Mantle is like the only other thing you're getting out of this, and which is very cool. I mean, you can take their gigantic, huge monster and give it more power and hit them with it and double your life total. But keep hodling your Aura Swaps is the end of the story. And the epilogue to the story is get MTG Stocks Premium so that we can continue to pay our editors. Editors, plural, because Matthew Fink edited this podcast once.
I have a Breaking Bulk I don't think either of you will get.
Okay.
It's a Strixhaven Black Common.
Go Blank and Plumb the Forbidden are the first two that come to mind.
You son of a bitch. You piece of shit.
Wait, really? What did I?
You absolutely. It's Go Blank.
I wasn't sure if that was an uncommon.
I said common, actually, not uncommon. That's the funniest part.
I thought it was uncommon, and I was just guessing it as like a maybe it's common kind of thing.
Oh, actually, it is an uncommon. I just lied and was wrong, and you still got it. That's my bad. The card barely qualifies as a Breaking Bulk. It buylist for 9 cents, but if you actually look at it on TCGPlayer, copies are getting into like the 30-cent range. If you're buying them with shipping, they're over $1 for individual copies, and the card is one of the best things in Pioneer against Is It Phoenix, because it makes them discard 2 cards and gets rid of their delve fodder. It gets rid of the Phoenixes in their graveyard. You often catch a Phoenix player with 2 cards left in hand or 3 cards left in hand after they've put their Phoenixes into play, and this way you can get their cards, make them discard the Treasure Cruise and the cards they were going to delve to it, so when they draw one later, it's still dead.
Right, this is mind twist against that deck. You're not mind rotting them, you are just completely eviscerating them.
Right, and it's the reason why the Phoenix deck has to play so many Spell Pierces, is because they have to be able to beat this card somehow.
Okay.
Does
it have Reapers?
No, just Strixhaven School of Mages, which granted has a pretty huge supply, but as we get into Pioneer season, more and more players are going to want to play their Black-Red Vampires deck or their Mono-Black discard deck, and they're going to be dismayed as their opponent casts their 2nd or 3rd or maybe even 4th Treasure Cruise, and they're going to have to pick up their Go Blanks, and this card's probably going to hit like $1, maybe $1.50. But it's already worth picking out of bulk, and it's only going to get better.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if like somebody was trying to chime in on this card, but like they didn't know their mic was muted? Like
that would be so funny.
So funny.
I would honestly be out of character for you though, Jason, being funny.
Way to attack my one insecurity.
You made fun of Steven Soderbergh, buddy. Fucking nuts on the table, it's on.
I made fun of Ocean's 13, to be fair.
I was talking about Ocean's 11.
I mean, whatever. I don't like Brad Pitt. Hey, man, what if my character was eating all the time? You're not going to want to do that if we have to do multiple takes, and also that's expensive and dumb. Yeah, my guy eats all the time. Why, Brad? I don't know, man. So I have something to do with my hands? I'm Brad Pitt.
It's because the whole point is that he's just there to be a foil for George Clooney, who actually has the whole plan. Like, Brad Pitt's only there to enhance George Clooney's character, you moron.
He's there to... He's there to move the plot along, same as Matt Damon.
Yeah, man. Characters in movies move the plot along sometimes. Isn't that crazy?
By eating?
No, by being someone there to let George Clooney set himself up.
Hey, man, is it cool if I don't open my eyes all the way for the rest of my life? I'm from the South. All right.
I did not expect to be the moderator of this debate tonight.
Brad Pitt sucks, and so do you.
I'm off the podcast, guys.
No, DJ sucks. I was talking
to yeah, DJ sucks. I agree with that. Never mind. I'm back on the podcast.
Back.
Love you guys.
Cass and Jason, friends forever.
I
Friendship ended with DJ.
No, I still want to be DJ's friend. No.
Would you like to contribute on Go Blank, Jason? With your unmuted mic.
It's not EDH that's going to make this card do anything. Because I expected this to be like in a lot of Tiny Bones decks. And New Tiny Bones is not even in the top 8 cards for this deck. I think people straight up forgot it. I mean, people put it in Zevlor from Baldur's Gate is like the most recent commander that's gone in. So, I don't know. I think 9 cents on a buy list is quite good for a card you will get in bulk 100% of the time. This seems like a great card to remember to pull out.
So my plan with this card, assuming you are starting, you're trying to build up a store on TCGPlayer or Card Trader or some other third-party marketplace platform.
Cardsphere.
Cardsphere, sure. My plan with this is to just list it for $1 no matter what. I don't care if the market price is 30 cents. I don't care if the market price is 50 cents. I'm not buy listing this for 9 cents. This is a card that people will want multiples of, and I want to list this for $1 and also have other cards in stock that this person wants. This is just something that I'm happy to own 8 copies of and be the person that has the playset and incentivize somebody to want fewer envelopes in their mail, because they can pay $1 a piece with $1 shipping from 4 people, or they can pay $6 from me for a playset and just get all of them at once.
That's that TCGPlayer Direct life. Is like, well, the market price is $4, but people are buying them on Direct for $17, so you should pick these up for $7.
I literally,
wild.
I had the exact experience today that DJ's talking about, where I was trying to purchase this card exactly. I also needed a Torpor Orb and a Blot Out, some Aftermath card. It deals with Vein Ripper real nice. That's all you need to know. And so I purchased about $1 a piece, 2 copies of Go Blank from the same person who had the other cards I needed, and I saved like $2 because I did it, because I have to pay for shipping 2 more times. It's crazy how that works.
Yep.
DJ's figured that how to just list weird stuff. It's like people have been paying $1 each on, I don't know. I was trying to think of a card that's less than $1. Man, I can't even riff anymore. This is really, I have so many histamines in my life. That's the problem.
This podcast is firmly anti-histamine.
I have some crystals that'll get those right out of you, Jason, if you want.
We'll get the
except
histamines?
Yeah, I sell the crystals for $1 a piece so that you can save on shipping, though. Normally they're like 30 cents.
Well, I'll pay $1 if I don't have multiple envelopes, because if like an envelope of crystals shows up, my wife would be like, oh, crystals. And if 2 or more envelopes of crystals shows up, she's like, oh, so you're a crystal guy now? And I don't need that.
So I want to take this moment to shout out the newest sponsor of our podcast, Kirkland brand. This is the Costco. This shirt here, this will save your life. You take 3, 4, 15 of these a day. If you're built different like me, probably don't do that. Follow the directions. You're away. You're catatonic, but you're out, gone. That right there, it's financial advice. It's not financial advice.
You can trust generic drugs. You know, the people who work in the labs making generic drugs, it's like the same thing. For example, I worked as a chemist making generic drugs, and I was terrible at that job, and it took them a year to figure out I was bad and fire me. So, yeah, take your Kirkland brand drugs. They're perfectly safe, according to me, a terrible chemist.
This is not an endorsement of name brand cereal, though. You do have to get the name brand cereal.
Yeah.
Or it's not an endorsement of generic cereal. You do have to get the name brand stuff. Like
that multi-meal shit gave people salmonella, and it's still in stores because it's cheap. Because you get like, it looks like a bag of dog food, and it's $4.
Have we talked about the Gorilla Biscuits yet on this podcast?
We can. Again.
Have I talked to you two about the Gorilla Biscuits?
No.
Okay, so there's
in.
It's a 4chan green text of sorts, I believe. It's about how these guys who are trying to like build muscle mass are talking about like, oh, protein's so expensive, like chicken costs so much these days. And one of the guys is like, actually, I've been eating gorilla feed biscuits. They're technically food safe.
Yeah.
Technically safe for humans to eat. And the bag says no more than 8% ash by volume. He was like breaking down the macros of these gorilla biscuits, and like the bag of them is like, you know, feed to gorillas to make them healthy and virile. And the dude was posting his gains, and he was getting buff, and he was eating no more than 8% ash by volume every day. He's talking about how he would take a gorilla biscuit, break it up, put some water on it, make it like a slop, and then eat it.
Ooh.
Wasn't very flavorful. He put like some sriracha on it to choke it down. It was like 20 times as cheap per gram of protein as chicken.
This is the Chad meme version of Soylent Guy.
But like that feed is designed to be complete nutrition for an animal that needs no variables in there. Like, we don't want this animal doing weird shit. We don't want people thinking their drug makes animal, because we decided to have a taco fiesta in the monkey room. So like they get the same diet all the time, and it's these like terrible taste. I've eaten everything I've ever fed to an animal.
This is the.
I've sampled all this stuff, and those biscuits, they're not bad. They're a little dry.
This is the zoo the zoo version of don't buy a gamer chair, buy an office chair, because capitalism designs them to work for 8 hours a day. Like,
don't buy a Costco rotisserie chicken. Sorry, Kirkland, our sponsor.
But they lose money on the chicken. How can it be a bad buy if they're losing money? We can't both
Gorilla
lose
Feed
money
is a
on a
better
rotisserie
buy.
chicken. There's no way we both lost money.
Gorilla Feed is a better buy. The gorillas are losing money every day selling this feed to us.
I don't think the gorillas know capitalism.
That's
Naturally,
because
you're
they're
wrong.
eating it.
I
That's
got
because
some
they're
bad
eating
news.
gorilla
Coco
feed.
did not know sign language, and if Coco didn't know sign language, monkeys don't know fucking capitalism.
The second Coco gets a hold of the Costco chicken, those neurons will connect. Like, as long as we keep feeding her gorilla biscuits, we're safe.
If Coco found out there's better tasting food than gorilla biscuits,
It's over for us.
you've been feeding me dog. I knew the food in the cafeteria was better. You assured me it was not. You said, no, we eat biscuits in there too, Coco. Please don't twist my nipples off of my body next time I come in.
Jason, do you have a breaking bulk this week?
I do. Vorak Battlehorns.
Oh,
Sure.
I love that card.
Yeah. Pick those out of your bulk. They're like $1, and it's a common. I guarantee you got these.
Has that card been reprinted since Mirrodin? Or
Sure
since, like,
has
some crap
not.
at Precon?
And you know what? For people are using it in Obeka a lot because Obeka has Menace. So Menace and can't be blocked by more than one creature equals cannot be blocked.
Oh,
Vorak
yeah.
Battlehorns in Obeka specifically is doing a little bit more work than normal. But that's not to say there weren't a bunch of green decks that were, like, even the most dangerous gamer from the fucking Space Set or whatever is running it, Skullbriar, Grun. So, like, yeah, if you want to get through by trampling, that's great. But it also makes anything with Menace unblockable, and that is something I don't think has ever been discussed in the context of this card before. And I think now that we've discovered this tech, there might be more use than Vorak Battlehorns, which is a common and has had fewer printings than, what are those boots that give you, Trailblazers boots. They're about the same price as Trailblazers boots.
Well, it's a comment from Mirrodin, which means it has fewer printings than Jace the Awakened.
Yep.
So
this-
I am correct in my memory of this card. This was a card that I was playing a game of Mental Magic against my dear friend Carmen Klemperens, now at WotC R&D or Play Design. And
do you happen to know Carmen? You never mention it every episode.
I do. You know, I have a good story involving my close personal friend who I get to shout out for a little bit of clout on the podcast. Jason, you should be grateful.
Do I get to talk about Jane Dean next? I haven't seen her since she moved to Seattle, except one time.
Yeah, she doesn't know who you are.
That makes sense.
I actually don't know if that's true. I was really mean. I'm sorry. Anyways.
She knows the other
I
person from Michigan who's good at Magic.
I was certain that I had the game locked up. I had seen her hand. I saw that she had a 2-mana artifact. I had like a couple of creatures in play that were all pretty small, but it was enough to, like, if she gave a creature trample, it was fine. And then she just, like, declares Vorak Battlehorns, and I'm like, what is that card? And she says, oh, you don't know? Trample can't be blocked by more than one creature. I was able to block with my 2/2 and take 6 damage, and I died. And it was very cool. That is to say, Vorak Battlehorns, nice deep cut, Jason.
I was playing Mental Magic, and a creature was getting lightning bolted, and I needed it to live. And I was in the tank for like a million years with 1 green mana, trying to think of the name of the card. And my buddy sitting behind me is like, "Dude, how hard is it to come up with the name Giant Growth?" And I'm like, "Avoid Fate."
Trying to be clever.
Mental Magic's hard when you're a fucking idiot. I was like, "Turn 1, Curse Scroll," and he's like, "Turn 1 Time Vault. What are you doing playing Curse Scroll in Mental Magic, you idiot?" Oh, good
Magic
times.
is very good. Probably much more skill intensive now that there are 18
Oh
trillion.
yeah.
Like,
If
the
I
first
had to
person
play Mental
Mental
Magic for only cards that came out in the last 12 months. Hey, what
Back
else
in the day, you
costs
just knew...
3 colorless, a black, a blue, and a hybrid blue-black? Does anything else cost that?
Back in the day, you used to just memorize like 11 free cards that existed, and you just won every game of Mental Magic. Like, I knew the card Ensnare, and so I won more often than everybody else. Nowadays, you have to know things like who Zleemnorb the fucking Impaler is from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Dong.
The first person to play.
Baldur had a
like,
dong?
first person to just play like Universes Beyond cards in Mental
I'm just
Magic.
gonna play Comet Stellar Pup. Roll a d6.
Even better if they don't call you on it. You're just like,
Yeah,
oh,
you're
I'm
just
gonna
like,
play
just
Sasuke.
name a planeswalker with 5 abilities, and they're like, I'm pretty sure you can loot on that. I don't remember.
Sasuke costs 2 blue and a green. Like, go.
Sasuke?
Yeah. They're not gonna call me on it. They're not gonna Scryfall it.
Yeah, I think
Right.
I think a new Uchiha would be Simic. A good call.
What,
the
do I get a
Mystic
Commander's
Snake
Herald
colors.
article series now because I can name anime characters?
Yeah, you could get hired from Commander's Herald 4 years ago running that series.
Jason, can I make a request to you about hit popular game Spellify?
Oh,
Can you make it harder? Because I get it in 0 every day.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say.
We are picking cards that are actually played in EDH. That is the one
Right.
quirk of Spellify. It's like Jake's like, well, we were doing top 100 cards, and like that was too easy. So now we're going cards that are in an EDH deck. And yeah, if it's land tax like it was today, like that can be a little bit easy. But man, I used like 7 guesses for the one a couple of days ago. So.
Emily and I just stared because again, SCGCon Atlanta was very dead. We had nothing to do, so we just played every variant of Wordle and/or Enchant Wordle and/or Spell, like all those. We just like stared at the card for 5 minutes and we're like, Ominous Seas. That's it. Like just no guesses,
awesome.
just like power of deduction.
Sometimes
I was
one
sitting-
letter is enough, and sometimes it's not.
I was sitting at my LGS, and my dear friend was just like trying to, just racking his brain. He was like 7 guesses in, trying to guess a card. I just like open it up on my phone. I look at it for like 2 seconds, and I go, "Oh, it's Panharmonicon."
Halophon.
He's like,
Panharmonicon, yeah.
Halophon was so
got that
easy,
in, I
too.
think I got that in 4 or something.
the
I always-
Halophon was so easy.
I always play it at like 12:01, and I'm in no condition at 12:01.
I've put a lot of skill points into the very useless skill of understanding exactly how cards are formatted. And so I see like, oh, there's like, 4 letters, 2 letters, 4 letters. That means like this or this.
Yeah, whenever a blank enters or at the beginning of your upkeep, it's
Right.
just too much information, Jason. Too much.
I have a
information.
special kind of brain. I'm a different
So-
kind of beast.
What if I told you that Spellify is hard for normal people?
Oh, for sure.
It's
There
been
needs to be a
going-
pervert version for me.
a perversion of we thought about making it harder, and also we thought about releasing like 50 puzzles at once for like a subscription thing, but honestly just keeping people coming to the website once a day, we really appreciate it. And while you're at
Just-
Commander's Herald, why don't you check out Am I the Bullcast, the brand new podcast from Commander's Herald. Comedian Mike Carosa, aka Mark Carbonza, interviews callers in a Frasier style podcast that only I think is Frasier-esque, because that was how I pitched it to people, but they immediately got rid of all the elements that reminded them of Frasier, because the 3 of them have not seen the show. So that was only funny to me, but it was very funny to me and very worth it. But if you want to hear funny quality interviews where people ask, hey, was I the asshole in this scenario? You should definitely check out Am I the Bullcast everywhere you get podcasts, probably where you get this one.
So I think you should have a Spellify that's like the card text is just in German or something to really mess with me. I'd still get it in 0, but like I'd have to think about it,
That would be called Spielify.
I mean, this limited format, we talked about it a little bit. It very clearly was designed by the greatest limited designer of all time. That's very good.
I've heard nothing but good things about Limited.
Yeah, my buddy, he built a 48 card pre-release deck and lost his first round by decking himself. Like he went all the way in on the value train.
Was he
2
committing all
tables
the
down,
crimes?
He was doing all kinds of stuff. He was playing like 5 colors fully.
That's a crime right there.
2 tables down, somebody was playing Cruel Ultimatum in their green deck. Like, it was 4 colors, but they were also playing green.
Were they fucking I remember Patrick Chapin was like, yeah, we're going to splash some blue for Kroll Ultimatum.
So
the 3 black pips were splashed off of the 3 black deserts in his deck.
Oh, that's dirty. I love it.
So on the subject of best limited format of all time, the few complaints I have heard of the format are certain unwinnable bombs like Original Oko and Cruel Ultimatum.
Cruel Ultimatum is very beatable and limited.
Okay.
99% of the time you draw it, you just die with it
What
in
if
your
I
hand.
told you we were beating that card in Limited 20 years ago?
Yeah, like, most of the time when you have that card in your hand, you just die before you get to play it. And if you get to play it, I think you deserve to win a game. Now, Oko
Yeah,
Thief of Crowns is completely insane that they put that card on the bonus sheet, but also like it had to be there.
Can you believe we were casting Cryptic Command and Cruel Ultimatum in the same deck when all our lands were like, pay a blue mana, get a black and a red? Like, that was the kind of fucking lands we were using.
The real land that made that deck work was Reflecting Pool, let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna
for
say,
sure.
Reflecting Pool of Vivids is not okay.
There's an old coverage match, I think from like PT Nagoya. It was one of like those formats. Wafotapa just keeps a hand that's like Vivid Land, 3 Reflecting Pools. And like 2 Muldrifters and a Cloud Thresher, and he's just like fully moisturized in his lane. He's like Vivid Creek Go. Magic was different then. It was better then because that was about when I started playing.
Oh,
like, super
that sounds
competitively.
What a curve. Turn 3 Council of Soratami, turn 4 Council of Soratami?
That was like when I actually started caring about competitive Magic beyond just like, I want to win a PTQ because that sounds fun. It was like, I'm going to become a sicko if I can. And I remember watching those PTs and watching Nassif peel the Cruel Ultimatum, watching Cedric just like beat the crap out of people with Kithkin. Like those were the days that got me really fired up about Magic. And I'm just being a boomer and being nostalgic now. That's all.
You are breaking free of the chains of your allergy medication.
I also remember
incredible to
college
watch.
fondly.
Let's take another one.
Or were you in junior high when that set was out?
I was in high school when
that's-
that was happening. Yeah, 2009. That was my freshman year.
We're
The
same-
year
we're
I
the same age.
graduated high school, Apocalypse came out.
True.
All right. Speaking of ancient things that are no longer relevant,
Me?
TCG. I didn't say that. TCGPlayer Buylist, the program where you send cards to TCGPlayer's warehouse on behalf of stores that are offering buy prices. That is a discontinued program as
It
of
is.
some number of weeks into the future.
I feel bad for everyone who found out that TCG Player had such a feature when they announced it was going away.
It did not seem to be operated particularly well or smoothly. And I know that there are plenty of problems with the system in terms of how some people abused it and how some stores were getting destroyed on it. There were a few issues there, and TCG Player seems to be moving further away from handling cards physically that are not there, or that requires them to do multiple parts of the transaction. Like they seem to be moving further away from like store your products and sort your products systems where you send them cards and they have to deal with them and then send them back to you. It seems like they are more and more hands off with the transactions, which is definitely a business model.
I think that they kind of just like TCG Player got a lot of market share very quickly.
Yeah. Yes.
Through a lot of mergers that are, questionable good for the community and for the industry, and they're just kind of like having to pull back. Like things just aren't functioning fully.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to the Google Amazon model of abandonware and, let's start this thing, see if it works. If it doesn't, cast it aside, whatever. Like, if it works, we might continue with it. But there are plenty of projects and systems on any of those 3 companies that I named that you can say, oh, hey, are we ever going to get more updates on Binder POS? And it's like, no. This
might be a hot take. I'd rather them pull back on some programs to make their core stuff good. Like, I'd really rather have that.
agree.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies honestly kind of get into a space where like they're trying to do too many things and therefore all of their products are bad. And if you just pull back from the things that like, if you're going to do something, do it well.
Yes. TCG Buylist, I used it in the past to source... My main use for it was sourcing cards that were consistently arbitrageable overseas. So what I would do is I would put Solitude and like True Name Nemesis or just Monastery Mentor, cards that were good in Europe at the time. I would put those in my TCG Player Buylist for like 80 or 90% of retail, just because I knew I could guarantee that 110% of TCG low going out the door. And so that was a very nice place for me to just park money and sell cards on the platform at the time, get bunch of credit accumulated in my Buylist account, and instead of getting payments, I would just get regular shipments of Jace the Mind Sculptors and Monastery Mentors and Dual Lands, and that was good, but I can empathize with TCGPlayer on the struggles of navigating the system where players are not using it correctly, or like having to deal with players' conditioning issues of, oh, this regular Magic player is sending in cards they think are near mint and they're actually moderately played. Like, we deal with that plenty as store owners dealing with customers trying to sell us cards. Cannot imagine the communication issues and TCGPlayer trying to middleman that when I expect to say, hey, where's my 4 near mint Jace the Mind Sculptors that I ordered through Buylist, and TCG keeps getting copies sent in that are not near mint. Like, that is a hurdle to deal with, and I do not envy them in that issue. Like, I have had plenty of complaints with TCGPlayer in the past. I don't think this is necessarily like a big fumble on their end. I think it is cutting dead weight.
I think it also puts extra pressure on the parts of the company that, this is speculation, but parts of the company that I feel like are probably the most overburdened as it is anyways. Grading feels like it's something, I think it's just kind of an industry-wide thing where grading is a big pinch point, and Buylist requires a lot of attention being paid to grading.
Also, their employees just recently unionized.
That is true.
I would think that they would be trying to... Well, yeah. Oh, it was CK that did it, and TCGPlayer's trying. But, like, when you're trying to unionize, you probably want to cut some of the things you were doing and, cut headcount a little.
The TCG union vote passed, and eBay TCGPlayer is allegedly fighting tooth and nail to drag every part of the process, which is just late-stage capitalism, folks. But anyway, I don't think
in 3 or 4 years we'll be hanging those people. So, I mean the employees. Yeah, capitalism's going to win. It always does.
I'm looking at our show notes here, DJ, and there's a little mention of a pick of the peak. Do you have a pick of the peak for us?
Yeah, let's dredge this podcast.
Is it as funny as the story you just told?
It's not, but let's dredge this podcast back.
But if you don't know what that story was, maybe you should become a patron. Consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/BSB for $20 a month, which is as little as $4 or $5 an episode, when you could be making $300 an episode. You could be somebody that gets the podcast a little bit early, gets to talk to us in Discord, gets sent...
For the low price of FX tablets, you can support us.
Venti soy latte, half calf, no hazelnut.
What the fuck are you talking about?
For the price of that, you could support this podcast for a whole year.
Anyway, I will grab the John Henry locomotive and turn the steering wheel in the right direction.
Can you imagine a steam-powered Magic card sorter?
I thought you were going to call me out on a train having a steering wheel, but no, let's...
Quick, make a hard right up ahead.
If I was in a trolley problem situation and it was $300 a month versus that guy's life, I would just multi-track drift. For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Can't I ruin both? It's like the Empire State Building on wheels. You can't just stop a trolley.
I have a Commander 2015 rare called Pathbreaker Ibex.
Ooh!
Hasn't
that gotten a reprint?
Its only reprint recently was actually Commander Anthology. This card has never been reprinted.
Commander Anthology was like a year after it came out. Jesus.
Correct, yeah. And so this, I'm going to ask y'all to tell me when this card peaked in price and what it did. What price it peaked at. This is a 6-mana 3/3 that crater hoofs when it attacks.
I'm going to go with $18 in 2021.
I was thinking 2019, 2020. Like, I feel like pre-COVID this card was a menace, but I could be wrong. I'm going to go with like $21 in 2019.
$21, so roughly the same ish time period. You're both close-ish. It's actually around $20 right now, and it peaked at around $30 in 2021, late October.
The whole shtick is you can just always guess 2021, like back half of the year, because that's when every Magic card got expensive.
Hey, you know what got expensive? When fucking people were lining up in front of Target at 8 a.m. waiting for the store to open at noon because they had no job and nothing better to do. And then they stampeded on each other to buy football cards to sell on eBay. Yeah, turns out stuff went up that year. Who knew?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think this card's price increase does very strongly correlate with COVID and how the ecosystem works with cards going into the, supply of vendors during large events. Pre-COVID, this was like a $8 or $9 card. It was a reasonable card from a Commander deck from 6 years ago. And then the second COVID hit, it went to 13, 14 in late 2020, spiked again a year later, up to 30. And I think the only reason this card dipped back down to 10 last year was just probably due to the sheer power level of other things coming out. I think there were people replacing this card and just deciding it was time that they weren't getting enough combat steps in their Commander games nowadays, that their 6-mana beast wasn't getting an attack anymore. And they sold out of it for whatever reason. It had a pretty stark decline once events started coming back, and it bottomed out around 10 again last year. But I don't know why it has crept back up to 20 close.
Because it's Pathbreaker Ibex.
This is speculation on my part, but I'm going to guess that when events started back up, vendors were able to restock more easily. Supply was more readily available. Demand probably didn't change all that much. The cards kind of naturally dropped in price a little bit. And then this kind of card, which is low supply, the supply that was sort of garnered when people sort of sold all their cards after COVID ended, and they got back to events, that dried up. And so now the price is kind of naturally climbing again. That's my speculation on it.
Which is weird because none of the commanders, the top 17 commanders that run this card, none of them are really all that new. Like, Zalortha, Strength Incarnate is like the newest one, and that's not even close to the most popular.
Do you think that's just because this is an old card without a few eyes on it, and so, like, when you build these new decks, and when Command Zone, and when all these people are building decks, like, this is not the first thing that comes... It's very generic, it's not hyper-synergistic with anything in particular. The coolest, the most synergistic thing you can do with this is just sort of multi-combat attack steps and just, like, get the buff multiple times, or like panharmonic on your attack triggers. But I mean, this isn't like an Obeka style thing that has a very obvious synergy point with anything. It is just like for the player who wants to hit people with their big sack of batteries.
I think that this card just has low supply and dries up.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first show
and
back
also,
in 2021.
when it's cheaper than Craterhoof, even if it's $20, it's still
that's a
cheaper
very
than
good
Craterhoof.
point in terms of this probably just balances against
It's the exact
Craterhoof's
same.
price.
There were some spells like from Insurrection to like Craterhoof to whatever that one that gives everything 1/1 and infect. Like
Triumph of
there's
the
some
Hordes.
spells that just says, "Hey, if the game is boring because everyone has creatures and no one's attacking, the game ends." And those tend to be worth money because it's fun to cast Insurrection and have a Magic game not only end but end in your favor.
Yeah, and I think I can agree that this has always served a role as I can't afford a $40 Craterhoof Behemoth, but I can afford a $20 Pathbreaker Ibex.
Which is so funny because people consider Decimator of Provinces the like budget Craterhoof, and compared to this, no one's playing that. So the budget version's 20.
And the budget version has no supply. It is just in a Commander precon from 10 years ago.
And also, nobody bought Commander. The Commander Anthology is like, well, I doubled its supply. It did. Nobody bought Commander Anthologies. It's like, here's one good EDH deck and 3 shitty ones for $250 from your LGS. No? Yeah, we thought so.
Also, your LGS only got 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're a nightmare to ship, so there are plenty rotting on a shelf.
This has 1.01 printings.
Yeah.
That's
What
a
do you
cool pick of
say?
the peak, though.
What do you say we do pick of the week?
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
I got a pick of the week.
Hell yeah!
Bit of an out there one for pick of the week.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
I'm going with Oni Cult Anvil.
I don't like that
sort of-
one. Oh, that's a good
Okay.
pick, actually. No, I was
So
just
an
doing a
uncommon
bit. That's a
from-
good pick.
from Kamigawa, card doesn't see a lot of play right now, really anywhere. It sees a little bit of play in Pioneer occasionally, a little bit of play in Standard. But they just printed an entire bonus sheet of good artifact cards, and there's like 3 cards on that sheet that are good with this card. Most notably, Legion Extruder, and then like Simulacrum Synthesizer, and there's one other one that's just like a blue one. Like there could be like a Grixis Artifacts deck in Standard, maybe even Pioneer. This card is basically bulk, a little bit above it.
The supply of this card's out the ass. Not only was this in Neon Dynasty, it was actually reprinted less than a year later in Brothers War Commander decks.
It's just the kind of card that, like, I don't mind having a stack of them. Card's so cheap to pick up. You know I love my penny stocks.
Oh, I mean, if you want to buy this for a penny and sell it for a penny, sure. No, I'm just kidding. I like this card, but I think supply is high-ish.
Yeah.
But, like...
Listen, I gotta make a pick every week, man. They're not all gonna be bangers.
No, it's... I don't know. I'm not used to...
I mean,
I'm not used to going, shit, she pays way more attention than I do.
Last week your pick was original Magic art, so you went from $1,000 to less than $1. So.
And you know,
you
I was proven right. In the last week, a bunch of paintings went up. Very nice paintings that got no bids. You could have had originals for like $1,200. I'm just saying. In fact, my pick of the week this week is original Magic art again.
Why do
Buy
I
original
not...
Magic art.
$1,200 for an original piece?
It didn't sell at that. It got no bids.
What was it?
Because there's 8,000 auctions ending this week. I don't remember. It was some Yeehaw card. It was a pretty nice piece too.
Oh, it was like a bear wearing a cowboy hat or some shit.
Something like. Although the bear wearing a cowboy hat would have gotten bids.
He's a doctor. Also, it's not because he's a bear or a druid. It's because he's a doctor.
Yeah, some doctor really wanted the doctor piece. Yeah.
He's a grizzled genius. Wow, you're the smartest bear. You're really smart for a bear.
You're smarter than the average bear, to be sure. DJ, what's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is Horn of Gondor. I am a big fan of cards from Universes Beyond that are hard to reprint. Specifically, I saw this trending on MTG Stocks a little bit, and I saw a couple people comment about it on Reddit, and I don't think that we will ever reach a point where human is not the most popular creature. Not the most popular, but like most populated creature type, right? Human is always going to be by and far away the most popular creature type. They're even going through like weird lengths to preserve, like, oh, humans can go to Bloomburrow, but they turn into furries, but they're still technically humans probably. Like there's a lot of just human tribal that will always exist, and this card makes soldiers, which is another popular creature type. It's fine. It's $1.50. I think that you'll be able to list these on direct for $5 within like 6 months, and it'll just be one of those slow creepers.
I agree. I think that cards that are good with humans are like always pretty reasonable. And also being Universes Beyond card, I think, is a big, like, fairly safe to pick up. Maybe they'll throw it in the list or something and we'll all get owned, but like,
I think it's hard to put. I don't know how the reprint rights work with that, though, is the thing.
That's true. That's actually a good point that I hadn't considered.
That's like one of the main reasons I'm big on Lord of the Rings stuff like this, that is just casual, under the radar. Like, they might be able to find weird ways to do alternate versions of the One Ring or something, but like, definitely not this thing. This is not on their radar.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say something controversial. That's cool.
Jason?
You didn't. My pick of the week? Herald of Leshrac is $2. And
I freaking love that card. I love this card so much.
The cumulative upkeep is gain control of a land you don't control. How's that in a deck? So, hey, if you cannot find Court of Lochthwain for under $5, and I want to stress, don't pay $10. That's what it should cost. If you can't get them for cheap, look at Herald of Leshrac. It's always been good in EDH. And its cumulative upkeep is a good thing rather than a bad thing. It's one of the only cards like that. What's the other one? Braid of Fire? Braid of Fire
is weird because it was designed with the mana burn downside, and now it doesn't have that.
And now it doesn't have it. Yeah, I think Braid of Fire, which is like currently like $10-15, probably goes in this deck too. It's red colored, but I think Herald of Leshrac under $2 is absurd.
So Jason,
Cold Snap, no additional supply.
I love this. I will add a little bit of asterisk on this. I still agree with that wholeheartedly. It was reprinted in the Mystery Booster retail edition, so there is a cheap foil version you can get for around the same price. But I'm still wholly in agreement with this. The other reason I love this pick is it does double duty on the stealing theme. One of the commander precons from Outlaws of Thunder Junction is Gonti themed. It is all about the rootin' and tootin' and stealing stuff with the tiny bones and the playing cards you don't own asterisk. And this is a very good way to synergize with the old versions of ways to steal cards, because a lot of the old cards that steal things and let you cast your opponent's spells do not let you use any mana of any color, so you do need to access other mana sources or mana of any color. Hedonist Trove is a big one that I play in Gonti. It's very cool and very great, and it lets you steal their whole graveyard, but you need to play their lands first before you can cast their red spells in a mono black deck. Herald of Leshrac adds to that and says, oh, I'll take some mountains.
You take their lands so you can cast their spell. Honestly, that's why I play Draugr Necromancer, because Draugr Necromancer lets you play the spells with any color mana as long as it's from a snowland.
Most of those nowadays have that 2-sentence addendum of you can cast anything with any color, but a lot of the old stuff that you're putting into the deck from years ago does not have that addendum, and so it's good to have ways to... Chromatic Lantern can work in a mono black deck because sometimes you gotta cast the thing.
Well, it can now. They changed the rules. It Sens Triplets got way better because you don't have to play their...
Right, I'm saying you need to cast Chromatic Lantern in a mono black deck sometimes.
You play Chromatic Lantern and then you can just cast their shit. Yeah, that's
Herald
why
of Leshrac I love as a pick.
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever played Herald of Leshrac in a game of Magic, it's 7 mana for a 2/4 flying, which, it's EDH. So, it's not going to get pinpoint removed. It's going to get Wrath along with every creature on the board, or they're not going to be able to deal with it. And stealing their lands is really fun. You should play this card. And also, just go to the EDH page for Obeka Splitter Seconds. You'll see the high synergy cards. You'll see the top commanders playing it. You'll see, the top cards that are played in those decks. You're going to see stuff that is going to stick out as a spec to you. I've been using EDH Rec for my finance info for 8 years, and my hit percentage went way up because all the specs I make are already substantiated by real documented play by people versus what I think they should play. Because if you've heard my opinions about EDH, you know that I don't really jive with most people's opinion of what the format should be. So I took my own bias out of it, and I've never been happier. Use data, and data says Obeka Splitter Seconds is the most built commander deck 2 weeks in a row.
Sounds good.
Bonus pick, Silver Shroud costume, under $5. What a Magic card.
Silver what?
Silver Shroud costume. It's basically if Whisper Silk Cloak had flash and equip for free.
I thought you said Silver Shroud Costco, which is a great place to find casts.
Did I say cloak? It's costume.
My
Silver Shroud
is Allerfex from Kirkland Signature.
What is Allerfex? Is that like Allegra? I don't know anything about this.
It's an antihistamine. What a podcast, fellas! What an episode we've made together. That was another very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery, notably a podcast sponsored by Coalesce Apparel and Design. If you want a T-shirt, maybe even one with a design on it, maybe even one with
one that says Mulligan Club.
Yeah, that one. If you want one of those, if you want some apparel with a design on it, you can go to coalesceapparelanddesign.shop and use the code Brainstorm Brewery at checkout for 10% off your order, and also we get paid. I love to get paid, so you should pay me.
The Cass's Face hoodies and shirts are getting a restock in May, I believe. Might be June, but sometime this summer.
And it's not because of anything any of you did. Okay? You're letting us down. It's people with mothers who are neurosurgeons buying our stuff. People who like to cast brainstorms. It's not our fans. We need our fans to buy the Coalesce apparel. And the fact that we have gotten a second restock on this means we have exceeded our own expectations on the partnership with Coalesce. We kind of thought it would be a squatty potty thing. I'd get a free hoodie. We'd get a check, yada, yada, yada. They never talked to us again. But it turns out Coalesce is happy with our merch moving, and we appreciate everybody who's bought a sticker or a hoodie or a t-shirt or all of those things multiple times like me. Maybe my thumb on the scale is the reason we're getting restocks. Who knows? But what I do know is that Coalesce hoodies are comfortable and high quality cotton blanks, and all the designs are pretty cool. So you should buy our merch to make us look better than the EDH Recast, which has 5 times as many subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, what he said.
What he said. You can start playing the outro music now, JJ.
Cannot stop
Jason
talking once I start.
Can we play the Pornhub opening riff to close out this episode?
Put away that guy.
And just slowly make all the cowboy hats get bigger and bigger and
Yes.
bigger until they cover the screen.
Until they pop. And shoot cowboy.